I remember one night, I think it was a Tuesday, when I sat on the bathroom floor, back against the wall, lights off, just letting the hum of the world disappear around me. No big event had happened that day. Nothing fell apart in an obvious way. But inside, I was unraveling quietly, smiling in meetings, answering texts with emojis, saying I'm good with practiced ease. And yet, underneath that quiet smile was a truth I couldn't outrun. I was exhausted from performing a life I hadn't built for myself. And if you've ever felt that too, like you're living out someone else's expectations, like you're growing in all the wrong directions, then this is for you. This is not about reinventing yourself loudly. This is about rebuilding quietly, slowly, sacredly, from the inside out. If this speaks to your heart, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your voice matters here, and every time you engage, it helps this space grow with more courage, compassion, and truth. We live in a culture that glorifies the grand entrance, the dramatic life pivot, the look at me now, glow up. But most of the real, honest becoming doesn't happen with fanfare. It happens quietly, invisibly, in the places no one claps for and no one sees. Sometimes growth starts not with a leap, but with a whisper. A faint, aching knowing in your gut that says something has to change, even if I don't know exactly what or how. It might look like waking up one morning and realizing you don't want to live on autopilot anymore. You're tired of feeling numb. You're tired of playing roles. You're tired of chasing everyone else's definition of success while your soul is over in the corner, neglected and starved. You look around and everything seems fine. From the outside, it even looks good. But inside, there's this quiet discomfort, like your spirit is pressing against the edges of a life that's too small for who you're becoming. And it's in that moment, the soft, sacred moment where no one is watching, that something real begins. You don't need to announce it. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need to begin small. Humble beginnings are not a sign of weakness. They are evidence of your courage. Because it takes real strength to begin again without an audience. To rebuild without needing applause. I've learned that the strongest people aren't the loudest. They're not always the ones posting motivational quotes or sharing their latest transformation online. Sometimes, the strongest person in the room is the one who got out of bed this morning when it would have been easier not to. The one who made a different choice, a kinder one, a braver one, even when no one else noticed. That kind of growth is sacred. Think of it like this. A tree doesn't burst out of the ground in a day. It begins as a seed buried in darkness. And for a long time, all of its growth happens underground, quietly, invisibly. But that doesn't mean it's not real. In fact, the roots are the most important part. The part that makes everything else possible. And you're growing roots right now by choosing honesty, by choosing intention, by choosing to do things differently, even if it's only by one tiny degree. You don't have to overhaul your life overnight. That's not sustainable. And it's not fair to your nervous system. You have a say-so in how things play out. You have a voice in how you inspire. In some people, their life and their self-esteem. But that doesn't mean it's not valid, even if it's only by one tiny degree. You have a voice in how things play out. Real transformation, the kind that sticks, begins with the smallest, most doable next right thing. Maybe that's turning your phone off for 1 hour a night so you can be alone with your thoughts. Maybe it's going for a walk and not needing it to count as exercise. Maybe it's drinking water, or praying, or journaling, or texting someone you trust. I'm struggling right now, but I want to get better. Whatever it is, begin there. Let the quiet be enough. Let the small steps count. You're not behind. You're not too late. And you're not broken for needing to start over. You're just human, and that's a beautiful thing to be. So start small, start unseen, start before you feel ready. Because sometimes the most powerful beginnings don't roar, they whisper, and they change everything. There's something sacred about silence. But there's also something terrifying about it, especially when you're not used to it. Because when you start building yourself quietly, the first thing you often feel is everything. And it can be overwhelming. You're no longer numbing. You're no longer distracting yourself with chaos, drama, overgiving, overdoing. You're just with yourself. And for many of us, that's unfamiliar territory. But here's the truth I've had to learn, sometimes the hard way. You cannot build a grounded, truthful life in the middle of emotional noise. You cannot hear your own voice. The real one. The deep one. When the world is too loud and your boundaries are paper thin. So if you're going to build yourself, really build yourself, you have to start protecting your peace like it's oxygen. Like it's not just a preference, it's a lifeline. And that kind of peace, it's not something you stumble into, it's something you create intentionally, gently, courageously. It's the decision to stop answering calls from people who only reach out when they want something. It's the quiet bravery of saying no without explaining yourself. It's learning how to recognize the difference between someone who's comforting and someone who's controlling, and choosing accordingly. And most of all, it's learning to be okay with disappointing others in order to stop abandoning yourself. That's not selfish, that's sacred self-respect. See, for so long, many of us were taught that being available all the time was love, that selflessness was virtue, that being liked was the same as being valued. But if it costs you your sanity, your sleep, your self-worth, it's not love, and the price is too high. Protecting your peace means you no longer let chaos rent space in your life just because it wears the face of someone familiar. It means you stop opening your door emotionally, mentally, energetically to those who only show up to rearrange the furniture in your mind and leave you worse than they found you. Imagine your peace as a garden. Your job isn't to let everyone in. Your job is to pull weeds, to water what matters, to create an environment where your soul can breathe, even if it's quiet, even if it's simple, even if no one else understands it. You don't owe the world an explanation for protecting the parts of you that are still healing. And here's something I want you to really take in. You don't have to fight for a seat at tables where your peace is the first thing sacrificed. You can build your own table, a quiet one, a kind one, a safe one. And you can choose who gets to sit with you, because not everyone deserves access to you, and not everyone who once had it was meant to keep it forever. This is where the rebuilding really begins. That's what peace is. It's not the absence of noise, it's the presence of alignment. So protect it. Not because you're cold, not because you're angry, not because you want to be alone forever, but because you are finally ready to grow in a space that's safe enough for your real self to come home. Quietly, fully, and without apology. There's a moment in every quiet rebuild that no one talks about. It's not inspiring, it's not pretty. You probably won't find it quoted on Instagram or set to soft piano music on a reel. It's the moment you have to sit with yourself and tell the truth. Not a truth. Not the curated truth you're comfortable admitting, but the whole truth. The one that makes your stomach drop. The one that shakes your voice when you try to say it out loud. The truth you've been running from, maybe for years. For me, that moment came late one night when I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the person looking back. I looked excited. Fine. Put together. But I wasn't okay. And I hadn't been for a long time. I remember whispering to myself, I'm not happy, and I haven't been, and I don't know how to fix it. It was the most honest thing I'd said in months, and it broke something open in me, something sacred. Because the thing is, we can't heal what we won't name, and we cannot build a life of emotional integrity on top of half-truths and old survival stories. Not sustainably. You can't lie to yourself and expect to feel whole, and yet we all do it sometimes. We minimize what hurt us. We convince ourselves we're fine because admitting the truth feels like too much. We bury old grief, tell ourselves we've moved on, when really, we've just built a life around the ache and called it strength. But here's the deeper truth. Strength isn't silence. Strength is honesty. Even when it's messy. Even when it's terrifying. And real self-building starts when you stop hiding from your own story. That means being able to say, I stayed in that relationship longer than I should have because I was afraid of being alone. Or, I've been performing success because I don't think I'm worthy without it. Or, I've been keeping busy so I don't have to sit with my grief. Those are hard truths, but they are also holy ones. Because they're real, and real is the only thing we can build something lasting from. So often we think the truth will destroy us, but what's actually destroying us is pretending. Pretending we're okay when we're breaking. Pretending we're strong when we're scared. Pretending we've healed when we've only hardened. Telling yourself the truth is not about judgment, it's about liberation. Because once you tell the truth, you can finally stop performing. You can finally stop holding your breath, trying to keep up with the version of yourself you think the world wants. And instead, you get to exhale. You get to soften. You get to begin again, not from perfection, but from authenticity. And yes, the truth might break your heart, but it will also set you free. It's like breaking the seal on a pressure cooker. Suddenly, all the pain you've been containing, all the stories you've been stuffing down, begin to release. And it's intense, but it's also healing, because now you're finally dealing with what's real. Not the mask, not the narrative, just you, raw, honest, and ready to build something rooted in actual truth, not illusion. And here's the most beautiful part. The moment you start telling the truth to yourself, you start attracting people who want the real you, not the filtered version. You start creating a life that fits you, not the one you were squeezing into out of fear or habit. So when the time comes, and it will, sit down with yourself. No distractions, no performances, just you and your truth. You don't have to fix it all in one night. You don't have to have the answers. You just have to tell the truth. That's where the rebuilding begins. That's where you begin. Once you start telling yourself the truth, something subtle but powerful begins to shift inside you. You begin to reclaim something you didn't even know you had lost. Your inner authority, that quiet, steady voice that says, I get to choose how my story unfolds now. But here's the part that no one really prepares you for. After the truth comes the tension. You're no longer who you used to be, but you're not quite who you're becoming yet. You're in the in-between, the hallway, the wilderness. It's uncomfortable. It's disorienting. Sometimes it's downright lonely. Because when you start honoring your truth, you will naturally outgrow certain people, patterns, places. Not because you're better than them, but because you're becoming braver than the version of you who used to need them to survive. It's like shedding a skin you wore for years. The old roles, the fixer, the pleaser, the perfectionist, the overachiever, they start to fall away. And what's left is this tender, honest, unfinished version of you who's trying to find a new way to live. And let me tell you, that version of you, that in-between version, they are sacred because they're not pretending anymore. They are building from truth, not trauma. But this space, this middle ground, it's not just a transition. It's a test. Can you hold your boundaries when it would be easier to people please? Can you walk away from what's familiar when it no longer fits? Can you sit in discomfort without rushing to numb it, fix it, or disguise it as something prettier? Growth is not glamorous. It's gritty, it's often invisible, and it demands an emotional courage that no one can see, but that you can feel every single day. It's the courage to say, I am no longer shrinking to fit spaces that can't hold me. The courage to stand in a room full of people and still choose yourself. the courage to stop performing for approval and start living in alignment. This is where your self-trust is born, not in a moment of achievement, but in the repeated decision to show up as you really are, even when it's scary, even when you shake, even when your voice wobbles. Because that's what self-worth sounds like. It's not always loud, but it is steady. It's the part of you that whispers, I don't have to hustle to be enough. I already am. When you start trusting yourself, really trusting yourself, something amazing happens. You begin to care less about being understood and more about being honest. You stop over-explaining. You stop apologizing for your healing. You stop negotiating your value in rooms that were never built to see you clearly. And in doing that, you start creating a life that actually fits. Not a life built on noise or image or expectations, but a life that feels like home inside your own skin. You'll notice your body relax in spaces that once made you tense. You'll catch yourself smiling for real, not for show. You'll make decisions based not on fear, but on clarity. And all of it will happen quietly, gradually, but undeniably. Because this part of the journey, it's not about proving anything. It's about becoming honest, becoming whole, becoming someone who doesn't betray themselves just to belong. That's what self-trust looks like. And once you build it, brick by quiet brick, it becomes the foundation of everything else. Not just who you are, but how you live. So if you're in the middle, between the old you and the new one, hold steady. That tension you're feeling, it's not failure. It's evidence of your growth. It means you're stretching, expanding. You're no longer building yourself for anyone else's approval. You're building for you now, not to impress, not to perform, but to belong to yourself fully, freely, finally. And that is a holy kind of liberation. Because for so long we were taught to build ourselves as a product, a resume, a brand, something polished enough to earn applause and liked enough to avoid rejection. But here's the deeper truth. You are not a product. You are a person, a living, breathing, healing, evolving soul, not here to be consumed, but to be known. And that kind of becoming, the kind that centers worth over image, substance over shine, it doesn't need a spotlight. It needs a mirror, a quiet one that reflects back not who the world told you to be, but who you were before the world got loud. And in that mirror, you might begin to see something unfamiliar but beautiful. You are strong, not because you push through, but because you listen within. You are wise because you listen within. You are wise not because you have all the answers, but because you're willing to ask better questions. You are enough. Not because you earned it, proved it, or posted it, but because you were born that way. See, real self-worth isn't loud. It doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to prove anything. It simply is. It's the quiet knowing that you can walk into a room and not need to shrink. It's the deep breath before saying no and feeling zero guilt afterward. It's the comfort of choosing rest, not because you're lazy, but because your body is not a machine. It's the joy of not needing validation because you've learned to validate yourself. And maybe the most profound sign that you're truly building yourself, quietly, authentically, is that you stop chasing things that once defined you. And is that you stop chasing things that once defined you. You stop begging for closure from people who were never capable of offering it. You stop romanticizing potential and start honoring patterns. You stop performing for belonging and start embodying your worth, even if that means being misunderstood, even if it means walking away, even if it means standing alone for a while. Because you'd rather be real than impressive. You'd rather be whole than liked. You'd rather be free than approved of. That is the quiet power of becoming. It doesn't demand to be seen, but it cannot be unseen. Because when someone starts living from that kind of grounded truth, you can feel it in their presence. It's not loud, but it's steady. It's soft, but it's unshakable. And the beautiful, unexpected thing, You become someone others feel safe around, not because you fix them, but because you fixed your relationship with yourself. And that is the quiet revolution. That is how healing spreads. That is how the world begins to shift, not in noise, but in the hush of one brave soul choosing to show up fully. So if you're on this path, walking slowly, steadily, sometimes alone, I want you to hear this with your whole heart. You are not behind. You are not invisible. You are not late. You are just building something that lasts. And the best things, the most rooted, resilient, radiant things, they're always built slowly. They're always built gently. They're always built quietly, beneath the noise, behind the scenes, inside the heart. Keep going. No one may clap for this part of your journey, but one day you'll look around at your life, your honest, peace-filled, aligned life, and you'll know. You didn't just survive, you rebuilt. There is one more truth about building yourself quietly, and it's one of the most tender, most difficult, and most life-giving realizations of all. You don't have to rush. You don't have to rush your healing. You don't have to rush your progress. You don't have to rush your purpose, your voice, your clarity, your calling. You are allowed to unfold, slowly, naturally, like dawn, like seasons, like the tide. And I know that's hard, especially in a world that constantly screams faster, better, now, where you're told to have a 5-year plan by 25, your trauma processed by Tuesday, your brand, your niche, your why, all figured out and monetized by the end of the month. But that's not growth. That's pressure. And pressure may produce diamonds, but it also breaks bones. Real growth, the kind that lasts, the kind that frees you instead of fragments you, it's slow, it's sacred, it's cyclical. Some seasons you'll feel inspired, awake, ready to take on the world. Other seasons you'll feel quiet, tired, unsure, reflective. Neither is wrong. Both are necessary. The stillness is not a sign that you're stuck. It's a sign that your roots are going deeper. Think of a tree. It doesn't bloom all year long. It sheds, it rests, it looks bare and lifeless in winter, but underneath the soil it's preparing, stretching, strengthening, quietly becoming more of itself. So why do we demand that we stay in perpetual bloom? Why do we believe that if it's not visible, it's not valuable? You are allowed to grow slowly. You are allowed to heal gradually. You are allowed to be a work in progress without apology or shame. Because here's the real magic of building yourself quietly. You start learning how to be deeply present with who you are, not just obsessed with who you're trying to become. You begin to honor the version of you who's here now, not just hustle for the version of you who might show up someday. And that's real self-love. It's not just bubble baths and self-care routines. It's whispering to yourself in the dark, "You're doing just fine." It's choosing gentleness over judgment. It's resisting the urge to compare your timeline to someone else's highlight reel. It's knowing that what's blooming for someone else right now doesn't mean you're behind. It just means they're in a different season. And maybe your season right now isn't for blooming. Maybe it's for building trust or learning rest or reclaiming joy or unlearning shame that's just as holy. Because when you give yourself permission to move at the pace of grace instead of the pace of pressure, everything changes. You stop measuring your worth by your output. You stop forcing what's not ready. You stop asking, "Why am I not there yet?" and start asking, "What is this moment asking of me?" And maybe, just maybe, the answer is rest. Maybe it's silence. Maybe it's stillness. Maybe it's mourning. Maybe it's laughter. Maybe it's simply being here without rushing to be anywhere else. Because becoming isn't a race, it's a return to yourself. The self you were before the noise, before the striving, before the pressure. And when you finally slow down enough to meet that self again, gently, honestly, quietly, you'll realize you've been becoming all along. Even in the mess, even in the waiting, even in the silence. And that is the softest, strongest truth I can leave you with. You are not broken. You are becoming. Not loudly, not perfectly, but truly. So give yourself permission to take your time, to build slowly, to honor your rhythm, to walk your path without rushing or forcing, because quiet growth is still growth, and soft becoming is still sacred. So here's my invitation to you. Build yourself quietly, not because you're hiding, but because you're honoring. Honor the small steps, the honest tears, the boundaries no one claps for, the courage it takes to choose peace over performance, alignment over approval,